guys. So today we are going to discuss about the one of the most powerful tool in Lean as well as Six Sigma umbrella, and that is nothing but SMED. We also call it as a single minute exchange of dice or SMED. So I write the word here discover because once we go through this tool SMED, you will come to know that how powerful this tool is, and the way we deal with this tool is unique in its own way. So once we finish up this session, you will come to know that this why this tool is so powerful and how everyone can take advantage by using this tool, whether it is a process related to service or manufacturing or IT or any kind of industry. Wherever there are multiple products or multiple type of services that we handle, wherever there is a changeover that takes place between two processes, there is a chance that there are a there are a time that we spend on changeovers, and that changeover times can be saved using this SMED process, right? So let's begin to understand the power that is belong to this SMED tool. So before going to start with what is SMED, let's first try to understand two scenarios that are there with the pit stop. I hope every one of you are aware about the pit stop. If not, then pit stop is a concept that is launched in Formula One races in around 90s. And pit stop means during the Formula One races, these Formula One car drivers used to take a stop, and that stop is for doing some quick activities on the car, like changing the tire or checking the condition of the car or refueling the car itself. So those activities are done while the race is going on. So you can understand that in this kind of Formula One races, the fraction of seconds can cost a lot, and it can cost like you will end up losing the race. So in this kind of environment where fraction of second actually counts, how can you take leverage when you are going to take or change your tires or going to refuel your tank? It will always cost you a time, and that can lost your opportunity to win the race. And that's where this pit stop has happened. And during this pit stop, they used to do this as quick as possible, so that the chances of losing the race because of this changeover will be minimal. So first, at the first event, we will try to see this video, which is shooted around 1950s, where the changeover was happening during this Formula One race. So let's look at the video, and then we will try to uh, discuss more about this video. All right. So let me play the video first. Okay, here it is. So, so what you need to observe in this video is just try to do the observations very carefully. Just try to see how many peoples are there and what kind of different activities they are doing. All right. So that is what you want to say, and pay attention on the timer. So the timer is starting from zero, and just pay attention on the timer and try to understand that how much time they took to change all the tires and to do some minor activities. Let's begin. All right. So let's go back a little bit. so that we will go to the point where the timer has stopped, right? So yes, it has stopped at 1 minute 3 second and 90 milliseconds, so almost 1 minute and 4 seconds, right? So this was the changeover time that they took, and the kind of activities they done are, we'll just rewind a little bit to see what kind of activities they did here, right? So that we will get a fair idea. So this, there are basically four persons that are working around. So this first person, this person is changing this tire on the right side, and then he moved, and then he changed the tire on the right side as well, right? So basically they changed the both the tire on the front side, right? He's changing, and then he moved to the second side, and then he changed this tire on the left side as well. And here the car goes, and during that time there were some other activities are also going on, right? Like doing some minor cleaning, tightening some loosened bolts and all other minor maintenance stuff. So the basic idea is, in the year 1950s, the person changed both the tires, did some minor repairing works, and released the car in around 1 minute and 4 seconds. So so now let's try to understand why this is very important, because an average person, let's take our own example. If we are driving a car and if tire fails for some reason, get punctured, then the average time the person takes to change one tire by using the stepney and all other thing is like around 15 minutes, right? So usually it will take anywhere around 15 to 20 or 10 to 20 minutes to change a single tire for a normal persons like us. So so you can imagine how this four group of people has changed these two tires by using some unique jack and doing some minor fix. So all this happens within a 1 minute. So this is what happens when you plan your changeover and you do the work accordingly. But this is not the end. This was in the year 1950s. This was in the year 1950s, when pit stop takes around 1 minute to complete all these activities. But here is a change, guys. So we'll go to the next video. So there is a F1 race pit stop 2019 world record. So there was a world record done by a Red Bull team. So the Red Bull team is the one participant team participating team in this F1 race, and they did a world record of 1.82 seconds. I know it is not even believable that they took 1.82 seconds only, right? So if we go back to this previous video and if we look their timer, it was around 1 minute, right? 1 minute and 3 seconds. And from there it has reduced to 1.82 second, guys. So it is unbelievably low time, right? 2 seconds only. And in these 2 seconds, the activities they are doing is like not changing only two tires, changing all four tires, doing some minor repairings, and releasing the car within 2 seconds. So so normal person like us, we can take only a spanner in your hand within these 2 seconds, and this team changing all the four tires within 2 seconds. Let's look at the video and then we will discuss more about it. All right. So I'll play the video first, and there it goes. See the timer. See the timer on the top. It's 1.82 seconds. In the By the time you move your eyes, the car has gone. We'll see it again. See, it has came. See the crew, they started doing it. Tires out, tires in, and it's gone. So fast. See it again. That's it. It's gone. All four tires changed, guys, within 2 seconds. Now it is in a slow motion, a little bit slow motion. You can see. So this is basically one person taking out the tire. There is second person who is putting the tire, and there is third person as well who is actually losing the assembly that is holding the tire. See it. See, came out, put in, and there is this third guy who is tightening this bolt. See the tool that he's having. He's using this kind of tool to fix the tire, to lock the tire at its position, and that's it. It's gone. When first time I saw this video of changeover, I was like, wow. I mean, from 1 minute to 2 seconds, and all the four tires changing. So if this team can do this kind of miracles, why we working in this manufacturing industry or service industry, why we cannot reduce our changeover times drastically? So this SMED has implemented in this Formula One races in way 1950s, 1960s, and from that onwards they have able to reduce this changeover time from 1 minute to less than 2 seconds. And there are teams, there are these guys who are continuously chasing this record. So there are multiple teams that are performing below 2 seconds, like 1.9 seconds, 1.95, 1.92, or even 1.89 seconds. So they're fighting with each other, they're competing with each other on a fraction of second, guys. So you can understand how this SMED can be implemented. Just take a look at the team size that is involved in this changeover. We'll see this this here. See, yeah, see how many peoples are there. So so as per record, they said there are basically 23 peoples, right? A crew of 23 peoples, they are involved in this changeover. So 23 peoples are working at a time in a highly synchronized way, in a highly professional way, to release this car within a 2 seconds. So so there are basically three peoples that are working on each tire, right? So three peoples on front left tire, three peoples on front right tire, and then basically three and three, like, so 12 peoples are working on the tire itself. And one person is taking out the tire, the second person is putting in the tire, and the third person is losing the nut and then again fastening the nut, right? So this is kind of activity that is performing. So it is a perfect synchronization of this team of 23 peoples. So someone is holding the signal, like red signal or green signal, whether to allow driver to go or not. There are two jackmans, basically one jackman is on the front side and one jackman is on the back side. See this jackman. So so he basically goes on the back side and lifts the car as and when it comes. And everything of all these activities happen within a fraction of second, like in a 2 seconds. Imagine a normal person cannot even take the jack to the car in 2 seconds, and this guy is unbelievably changing four tires within 2 seconds, guys. So so that is the power of SMED. That is why I'm showing you all these both of these two scenarios. So in 1950s, 1 minute is not 1 minute is not a higher time, right? Changing all the two tires using the technology that was at that time, like they are not having innovative tools and technologies like quick releasing bolt assembly. So the guy was using hammer to take out the check nut, right? And even if with that technology they are managing it to do it within 1 minute, like 1 minute and 3 seconds. And with all the technology involved, with all the synchronization and rigorous training of these 23 crew members, they are doing it within 2 seconds. So we can of course do miracles by using this only tool that is called as SMED. And we can dramatically reduce our changeover times, not in percentage but in multiple times, right? So if we look at this changeover, it has moved from 60 second to only 2 second, right? So you can find out how much multiple time improvement it is. It is like 30 times improvement, right? So that is how this SMED is powerful. If we implement it in a correct way, we can also see the same kind of benefits in our organizations and in our culture. So whether it is a manufacturing, whether it is a service industry, wherever there is a changeover taken place, wherever there are changeover between two different processes, we can of course implement this SMED tool, and we can take leverage of this tool. All right. So let's move ahead and try to understand how this SMED is used, from where this SMED has came, and what are the steps involved. Are you excited, guys? I am also excited because see, this SMED is one of my favorite tool under this Lean and Six Sigma umbrella, and I used it in my career in a manufacturing sector, and I have also reduced the changeover time dramatically. And believe me, guys, when I was working on this project of reducing changeover time, it was like a fun. We are enjoying a lot, like taking the video of all changeover, then analyzing it with the team, then coming out with new ideas, then how we synchronize the process, how we synchronize the flow. So everything is fun, guys. So doing this project itself is a fun part, and then after doing this project, seeing result and seeing the changeover happening like this in front of your eyes is actually giving you lot of satisfaction, right? So let's begin with the chapter, with the session. So before going to the changeover, let's first try to understand 8 waste that are defined in lean, and how this changeover time can impact these 8 waste or some of these 8 waste. So what is the relationship between changeover and this 8 waste, right? And that will give us a better idea that why this changeover is again important. So the very first waste among these 8 waste is defect, right? So defect is anything that is not meeting the customer specifications, right? So effort caused by rework, scrap, or incorrect information. Anything that is incorrect, whether it is a product or a service, incorrect by mean it is not meeting the given specification, that is defect. Then the second waste is overproduction. Overproduction means producing more than what we are needed, or more than what is asked by the customer, right? So producing more than needed or before it is needed is called as overproduction waste. So basically, why this overproduction is waste, and why, how does this impact overall lean culture, is not part of this session, so we are not going to go into much detail of this 8 waste. The point that I want to make here is how change over time can impact this waste, right? So we'll focus on that perspective only. The third waste is waiting waste. So waiting is a wasted time, waiting for the next step in the process. So if there are multiple process like a step of activities that are happening, and if a person is waiting for a next part, next tool, or next information to pass on, and to come that information to him, if he is waiting in between those two steps, then that is considered as a waiting loss, right? Then fourth loss is non-utilized talent. So this is basically a new addition to the classical seven waste. So this was used to be a seven waste when it was first introduced, but then this eighth waste is added on, and that is skill or non-utilization of the talent. So not utilizing people's talent, skill, and knowledge to their full strength is called as non-utilized talent. Straightforward, right? Very easy to understand. Then transportation waste. So transportation waste is basically linked with movement of parts, products, or service, right? So unnecessary movement of products, materials, or service or information is called as transportation waste. Remember the word unnecessary movement. So most of the time we need to transfer our product from our factory to customer, but some transportation can be avoided, some transportations can be unnecessary, and that can be avoided, and that is the reason why transportation is also considered as a loss or waste under the lean principles, right? Then the next loss or next waste is inventory. Of course inventory is a waste because it holds our money, it holds our capital, and excess product and material not being processed or not being utilized, not being used, is called as inventory waste, right? As it holds our capital, it is considered as a waste. Then the seventh waste is motion. So motion is basically related with the movement of people. Unnecessary movement of people is called as motion waste. For example, walking, right? Walking around the work area. So if the single person is working on the area and he's going from one place to another place, like one point to another point, to grab some tools or to grab some papers or to grab a stapler for that matter, so that is nothing but the motion waste. So you need to make sure that everything that you need is near to your workplace, and anything happens, and anything that is causing unnecessary movement is called as the motion waste. Then the last waste category is the extra processing, also called as over processing, right? So extra processing means unnecessary processing or activities in the process that do not add value. So do not add value means customer is not willing to pay for that processing, right? So so this is from the customer perspective. If customer is paying you x amount for y product, and if you are making product that is y plus 1 or y plus 2, then that additional 2 is your loss, because customer is not willing to pay, and he is not even paying you for that extra processing, and still you are doing that extra processing by utilizing your resources, by utilizing your time, money, people, and all those resources, right? And that is why this extra processing is considered as a waste under lean principle. So these are the 8 waste. Now let's try to understand which of the eight waste can be arrested by this single tool called SMED. Defect. Yes, of course, defect can be reduced. How defect can be reduced? By using changeover, by reducing the changeover. So it will reduce the startup defects. Now startup defects means when you do the changeover and when you start your machine with new product, or when you process your service with the new information or new requirement of the customer, you are you are likely to make first few products that are defective, because it will take a lot of time to change your machine or change your setup from one product to another product. And once you start with the new product, it is supposed to produce few defects at the beginning, because your changeover process is not robust. And if you implement this SMED, it will basically reduce your startup defect, or in some cases it will eliminate it completely. And that is how this changeover can impact your defect level, and it will help you reduce that defect level, right? Overproduction. So how will it impact overproduction? It will basically reduce the batch sizes. How will it reduce the batch sizes? So it happens in this way. If your batch sizes are tends to be a larger size, that is basically your changeover takes longer time. And to accommodate that changeover time, what management do is they have a longer batch size. So because of the uncertainty or the time that is involved in the changeover, so to make that changeover justifiable, what we used to do is we used to produce in a larger batch size. So if your changeover times are like very less than or in a few minutes, then you need not have to have a larger batch size. You can anyways anytime take the changeover, you can produce that required material, and again you can switch over to the required product. And that is how this can help you reducing your batch sizes, and that will reduce the overproduction, right? Because higher batch size means overproduction. Then waiting. So of course it will impact waiting. How it will impact the waiting? So it will impact the waiting by increasing the process speed, right? It will increase the process speed. So you are doing changeovers so fast that it will increase your overall process speed. And while doing this changeover, you will take care of all those activities that will cause you to wait for next information or next input or next tool. And that is how it will help you increase your process speed and reduce the waiting loss. Non-utilized talent, of course it will help you utilize the talent that you have, right? It will challenge your people skill. So when you are doing this SMED project, it will actually force your people to go beyond their limited thought process, and they will try to go beyond or they will try to think out of the box to come up with the new ideas that will help you to streamline your process, to reduce your changeover times, to come up with new tools, new technologies, or new ideas that will actually help you to reduce your changeover time. So it will challenge your people, and thereby you can end up utilizing the talent that you are having. Then transportation. So there is a minimal impact on the transportation. So we can say that there is no impact on the transportation basically from the changeover time. Inventory level. It will reduce the inventory, right? As we are not doing overproduction, it will directly impact your inventory levels. We don't have to store the inventory in our end, because our changeovers are predicted, our times are limited, and it will take very less time to change over. So we can plan whenever we want to produce new product, and thereby we reduce the inventory. Then motion loss. So so this is the one thing that will also get direct benefited from the changeover, right? We will reduce the people's movement. So it is not like when we do this changeover project or when we do this SMED project, it will only help us in during the changeover. It is not like that. It will help you while your process is running at its actual speed as well. And how that happens? That happens because you do your activities, or you keep your workplace, or you arrange your workplace in such a way that it will help you during the changeover. And of course that arrangement of the workplace can help you during your normal speed of the process as well. And that is how the overall motion loss will be reduced. There is a minimal impact on the extra processing, right? Because it will not have any direct impact on the extra processing. So this is something for which we need to work on a different aspect. So basically this SMED tool is a single tool that will help you reduce six defects or six waste out of these eight waste, right? It will help you reduce defect, overproduction, then waiting, non-utilized talent, then inventory level, and motion loss, right? So you can take a fair idea from this single slide that how this single tool called SMED will leverage you and take most advantage and gain most of the competitive edge by reducing these six waste. Now we will start with the definition of SMED, how what is SMED actually means, and how do we what do we mean by SMED, this word, right? So SMED is basically single minute exchange of dies. So the word SMED is come from single minute exchange of dies. So the beginning words of this line SMED, right? So SMED is a system for dramatically reducing the time it takes to complete equipment changeover. Now I am highlighting here this word dramatically, right? We are not doing incremental reduction in the changeover time. We are doing dramatical reduction. Dramatical reduction means not in percentage, not in terms of percentage. It is in terms of multiplications, right? Like 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. So that is how we can reduce the changeover times, and that is why it is a system to dramatically reduce your times to complete your changeovers. Now, this name single minute exchange of dice come from a goal of reducing changeover times to a single digit, right? So, single minute doesn't mean you need to finish your changeover within 1 minute, right? It is not like that. It is not like that. Uh, so, the single word come from the notation that we should finish our changeovers within a single digit minute. Single digit minute means less than 10 minutes. So, any changeover time that takes less than 10 minutes is good to go as per this definition of SMED. So you can use so you can do changeover in 9 minutes, then you can do changeover in 8 minutes or 7 minutes, anything, but it should be a single digit, right? So that is where this single minute word has came. It is basically a single digit minute exchange of dies. The word dies is came from a manufacturing industry where dies are used to do the changeover. So there are basically a dies that used to make a product, and when they need to do the product changeover, they have to change these dies. So from there this word die has came, one of the main contributor to consolidate the Toyota production system, right? So as always everything is traced back to Toyota production system and few of the peoples that are working, and the one of the person, the legendary person that is working and that is credited for this process is Shigo Shingo, right? So he is the one who introduced everyone to this concept called as SMED. Shigo Shingo claims that in his data from between 1975 and 1985, that average setup time has dealt with have reduced to 2.5% of the original required. See, 2.5% of the time originally required. So that is basically a 40 times improvement. Yeah, right? And that is why this dramatical word is used, not in the percentage. So 2.5 is 40 by 2.5 is 100. So 40 times as compared to original. So if you used to take 100 minutes to do the changeover, after doing this SMED project, you used to take only 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. That is 2.5% of the original time. And that is how, so this is what he claims. This is what Shigo Shingo claimed in 1975 to 1985. So 40 times reduction in the changeover time. And the same we have seen in the case of pit stop, right? From 1 minute, like from 60 second to 2 second, almost 30 times, right? So here are some of the benefits that are associated with a single minute exchange of dies. The very first benefit is it will help you lowering your manufacturing cost, right? Because faster changeover means less equipment downtime, and less equipment downtime means lower overall manufacturing cost. Then the second benefit is smaller lot sizes. As explained earlier, smaller lot sizes, because faster changeover enables more frequent product changes, and because it will take a very less time, you will reduce your batch size and thereby reducing your lot sizes as well, right? Batch size, lot size, one and same. So it will help you reduce your batch size or lot size. Then it will improve responsiveness to the customer demand, right? Quite obvious, because if customer demand is changing, then we need to be flexible to that demanding needs, right? And if our changeovers are quite fast, like within a few minutes, like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, then we can take advantage of that really fast changeovers. We can produce that product as and when needed, right? And that is how we can respond to the customer demand, and we improve our responsiveness. Then lower inventory levels. This is also quite obvious. We are having smaller lot sizes because of faster changeovers, and smaller lot sizes means lower inventory levels. Then smoother startups. So whenever we do this changeover project, we also focus on the product quality that we take out once the machine is started after the changeover, and everything that happens because of the standardized changeover, right? So while doing this project, we are not only focusing on reducing the time, but the second focus is to standardize the process so that everything that is coming out of the process after the changeover is happening should be of the good quality. It should be of the consistent quality, right? So standardization plays a important role when we plan for this SMED project. So so we always make sure that whatever we produce after the changeover is meeting the specification, and that is why we have a leverage of smoother startups, and that will reduce the defect level overall. So these are some of the benefits, not limited to, but these are the some of the benefits that are associated with SMED. Now we will look at the steps that are associated or the steps that are involved in SMED, right? And for easy understanding purpose, I have break down all this SMED process in three easy steps. Only three steps you need to understand, and if you understand these steps, it will be very easy for you to understand this overall SMED concept and to implement this concept as well. So focus here, guys. It is very important to understand the steps. So the very first step is separate. So what we do in very first step is we separate internal elements and external elements. Now there are these two words, internal elements and external elements. So what is mean by internal element and what is mean by external element? So let me explain you. So internal element is anything that is happen while your machine is down or while your process is down. So so whenever you plan for changeover or whenever you plan for starting new product, you took your machine down. So there is a downtime that is started, and during that changeover time, the elements or the activities that are happening is called as internal elements or internal activities. And external activity means those activities that can be done while your machine is still running at its normal speed. So those activities are called as external elements. So external element does not cost you any additional time because those are done while your machine is still running. So the first goal or the first step of SMED is to separate internal elements and external elements. So you need to find out what are internal, what are external, and you need to segregate those activities straightforward. Because what happens is in the maximum cases we used to take our machine down, and then there are a lot of activities that can be done externally that we done while our machine is still down. So the first goal is to separate those activities directly, and that will reduce our changeover time drastically. So the first step is separate. Very easy, right? Hmm. The second step is convert. Now this is again very interesting. So what we do in the second step is we convert internal element to external element. Convert internal element to external element. So what we do here is we challenge ourselves. We try to find out the ways by which the remaining internal element, remember here remaining internal element, not the all, right? Because we have already identified external element and that are moved out, and now the remaining internal element can also be moved to external by doing some changes in the process, or by doing some changes in the operations, or by introducing some new technology or new toolings, right? So that is the main intent of the step 2. That means converting internal elements to external elements, like this. And the third and last step is streamline. So streamline remaining elements. So what we do is once we find out all the activities that can be done externally, whatever remaining part of, or whatever remaining activities that are there in the plan, now we need to streamline those activities. Now there are various ways to do the streamlining, and we will see those in the couple of slides, so I'll not spend much time here. So streamline basically means doing the synchronization of the activities in such a way that it will reduce your overall time for the remaining activities, right? So very easy. Separate, convert, streamline, only three steps. Separate, convert, streamline. So you need to remember these steps so that you will understand all this SMED concept. So let's go in much details. The SMED process focuses on making as many elements as possible external, right? So this is the main focus, as many elements as possible to the external, and simplifying and streamlining the remaining elements. So So here is a graphical representation that will show how this changeover time will reduce. Excuse me, let me take some water. So this is a scenario. This is a before SMED scenario basically, right? So let's consider this whole time as, for example, 100 minutes. To just to put it in a numbers, any random number, 100 minutes, right? So that we can relate to this overall chart, right? So this is the situation before changeover. So it will usually take around 100 minutes on an average to do the changeover. And now there is a first step, right? So we have seen first step, that is separate. So what we do is we separate internal activities and external activities. We call it as an element. So basically what happens is when we separate those elements, it is usually expected that it will reduce your changeover time by 50%, almost 50, 60, or 40 to 60%. So I guess this is around 40 minutes that is saved, right, from this graph. So so see how we can reduce the changeover time 40 minutes by just doing simple activity, separating internal elements and external elements, and we can reduce the 40 minutes. This is not easy part, right? When we do this, when we actually go to the changeover project, and when we analyzing the process, it is not easy. We need subject matter experts, we need process guys that are very much versed with the process, and they will only be able to identify what is external and what is internal. So it looks easy, but when we actually do the project, it is not that easy. It will of course take time and effort and energy, right? But it will gives you result for sure. So this is the first step. It will be reduced almost by 40 time, 40 minutes, not 40 times. Then second step, convert, right? Separate, convert. What we do in a convert step, we find out more external elements. So what we basically do is this much of the internal elements that can be transferred to the external elements by doing some changes, by introducing some new process, sorry, no new process, by introducing some new tools or quick fix arrangement, or by doing process faster, or by doing some activities that can be moved external, right? So we'll discuss about that when we go to the actual practical study as well. So this is what is done in the second step. So this is now basically a 60 minute that are saved, right? 20 minutes more. So this 20 minutes more saved here roughly. And then third step, streamline, right? Separate, convert, streamline. So in streamline, what we do is, now these external elements are already moved out. Now this will not cause any downtime, right? Because we are preparing for that while the machine is still running at its full speed or normal speed, right? So these are 60 minutes plus roughly 20 more, right? Roughly 20 more. So 60 plus 20, 80 minutes are overall saved, and we will end up with this remaining 20 minutes. Now these are just random numbers, so we are not getting it in a one digit, right? 20 minutes. But this is how this changeover time can be reduced. We separate the elements, then we convert remaining elements, and then we streamline remaining elements. Now let's go to much detail, and we will try to understand what are the steps actually involved when we go to this implementation of SMED project. So the step one is to identify the pilot area. Now this is very crucial step and very important step. You cannot simply randomly pick any area and do the change or project on that area, because it will not be justifiable and it will not give you maximum benefit out of this SMED project. So you need to be very selective when you identify the pilot area for doing this changeover project or SMED project. And there are some guidelines that are associated with identifying the area, right? So you need to find out following characteristics while selecting the area for changeover project. The very first characteristics is the duration. So you need to make sure that the changeover time that it takes, or the process that you are looking at, is having a enough duration. It should not be like uh, so it is basically compared with the process that are there. So if all your processes take like around 1 minute to do the changeover, then that is your reference point. But in your environment, if there are some processes that take 1 minute and there are some processes that take 1 hour, then obviously you will select the one that is taking 1 hour, right? So you need to make sure that the duration is long enough so that it will be justifiable for the overall SMED project, right? So you need to make sure that it is long enough. Then variation. So this is the second characteristics. So variation here means, if we understand or if we identify that if it is taking 1 hour to do the changeover, then there has to be some variation. Now this is not a thumb rule. So if variation is not there, even we can go for the changeover. But if variation is there, that means that there is a lot scope for improvement. And variation means at some point it takes 1.5 hour, at some points it takes 2 hours, at some point it takes 45 minutes, 50 minutes. So the changeover time is basically not fixed. So there is a lot variation around this 1 hour. So if variation is there, then it is like a ideal selection for your SMED project. Then the third characteristics or third criteria is opportunities. And the opportunity here means there are there are multiple changeovers that are happening during the selected period. Say for example, you are looking at previous 1 month period of data, then there should be enough changeovers that are happening, right? So if there is no changeover in last 6 months, and even if it is taking 2 hours to do the changeover, and you are spending a lot of your energy, effort, and time to reduce that changeover time, it will not benefit you maximum, right? Because there is no opportunity. There is only basically one opportunity in the 6 month. So you need to find out the process, or you need to find out the machine on which the changeover opportunities are very often, like once in a day, or twice in a day, or 1 in 2 days, something like that. So you need to make sure that opportunities are there. Familiarities. So familiarity basically means there should be the activities that are done, the activity should be same, or there should be some familiarities between the activities that you are doing. That is what the familiarity means. And constraints. Now constraint here means you need to make sure, or you need to identify that whether this product or this change or process is actually a constraint for your overall process, whether this change or time actually cause you to reduce your overall lead time, or hamper your delivery, or cause you to stock some extra inventory. If that is the case, if it is a constraint, then it is considered as an ideal area for your change or project, right? So you need to make sure that you go through these various characteristics to identify your pilot area. Then step two is to identify the elements, right? So how do we identify the elements? So there is a procedure that is given. So what basically is done is we use a videotape to entirely shoot the changeover, right? So basically there is a recording device like something like this. You can use your normal mobile phone as well to do the recording. You don't need this fancy cameras to do the recording. So you can use your handy phones, mobile phones that are there in everyone's pocket. So that can be used to do the video recording of the entire changeover, and then that video recording can be used to identify these elements, right? So once this video recording is done, you need to find out two things out of that recording. The very first is description of the work that is performed, and that small work is considered as an element basically, right? So some small steps that are taken by the operator or the person that is involved in the changeover is called as element. So you need to find out the description of the work that is performed. And the second thing that you need to find out is the time, right? Time. So if he is performing X activity, then what is the time required to perform that activity? So that you need to identify. So you can use multiple recording cameras at a multiple locations. If it is like a assembly line, or if it is a big process, long process, basically you need to cover a lot of area, then you can use multiple recording cameras. That can also be done. Recording camera can also be fixed at a particular location if required, right? Because if there is a no movement of people, and people are working on a fixed same location area, then no need to hold the cameras. You can fix the camera location, and then recording can be begun. So this is the second step. Then step 3 is about separating the external element, right? So here is the step that we discussed before, separate. So we separate external elements and internal elements, right? So in this step, team will identify those elements that can be performed before or after changeover is taken place. So it is not like you can perform those activities before only. It might be possible that some of the activities can be performed once your machine is started to the regular production, right? Like collecting the tools, then putting them on its place. So this activity doesn't require your machine to wait to start, right? You can do it when once your machine has started as well. So you need to find out those activities that can be performed either before or after the changeover. And these are the activities that can be performed while the process is still running, right? As said earlier. And it is usually possible to cut your changeover time by 50% in this very first separate step itself, right? So we'll go to the fourth step, and now this step is convert, right? Separate, convert. So in convert step, we will convert internal elements to external elements, right? So team will identify those elements which can be converted to external by doing some changes or modifications in the process. We need to select only those activities which are contributing to the higher changeover time. So there is one more key point here. We need to make sure that we are converting only those activities to external activities that are contributing to the higher change over time. So we don't want to focus on movement activities that are there. So that will altogether will not cause a higher change over time, right? Logical. So we need to find out higher change over time activities to convert to the external. And prioritization can also be done here, which activity to be done first, which activity to be done second. So that kind of prioritization can also be done. Then fifth step, last step, streamline, right? Separate, convert, streamline. Third step is streamline, or fifth step is streamline. So we need to streamline remaining elements. So in this step, team will find ways to complete the remaining elements in less time. Following are the ways to perform these activities in a less time. So there are multiple ways by which we can actually do this streamlining. So the very first method is a parallel. So parallel means two or three or multiple activities happening at the same time. Remember the example that we have seen, the video that we have seen in the pit stop, four peoples or four groups working at the same time on the four tires. So that is considered as a parallel activity. So different team doing same activity at the same time. So we need to find out whether we can do multiple activities in a parallel sequence so that overall time can be reduced. Then elimination, we need to find out those activities that can be completely eliminated, not required at all while the changeover is happening. There are a lot of activities like taking out the form, then filling it out, going to supervisor, taking his signature, or filling out some unnecessary stuff that is actually not adding any value to overall change or process. There are a lot of steps that can be actually eliminated. So you need to find out those elements and you need to eliminate those elements straightforward. Then combine. So combine means you need to find out those activities that can be clubbed together, right? Like taking out the tool and then opening one kind of bolt, and then taking second tool to open the next bolt that is nearby that tool. So what we can do is we can use a single tool that can be used for both the activities. So what we are doing here is we are combining those two activities together. So combining can also be used in order to reduce the time. Rapid, if nothing is done, like if we cannot do it, we cannot eliminate it, we cannot do it parallel, or we cannot combine it, then what we need to do is we need to speed up the activity. We need to increase the speed of doing that activity, and that can also be done, right? There are various ways, there are various quick fix elements that can be used in order to increase the speed of that activity. So we need to basically rapid out that activity. Simplification, so simplification can also be used. So earlier I was giving the example of using the tool to loose the bolt. So simplification means eliminating that tool itself. So you can put quick fix pins or some hex type screws that can be loosened by hand itself. So that is nothing but the simplification, right? So these are the various techniques that one can use in order to streamline your elements so that the time can be reduced. So that is all about the overall steps that are associated with the SMED. Now we have created this unique SMED sheet that is available for all of you guys. Believe me, this single sheet is very much important and very much supportive, helpful while doing this SMED project. So you can take advantage of using this sheet for all your change or projects. Let me explain what is there in this sheet. So basically there are elements that are there along with the sequence of activities. So what we do is we write down the sequence. So this is done basically by analyzing the video that we have done or the shooting that we have done while the changeover is happening. So the team will sit together in a room, in a hall. They will play the video and they will analyze each and every single step that is done by the people, and these are the people that are involved in the changeover. So in this example there are basically three operators, operator 1, 2 and 3, that are involved in this changeover. So we can insert the more columns if there are more people involved, right? So this is the operators. Then there is a start time and there is a stop time. So start time means when the activity is started, and stop time means when that particular activity has stopped performing. And then these are calculated cell, you don't have to do anything here. These are automatically calculated using the time that you have input here, start time and end time. So this is basically a task time. So this is basically stop minus start. So total task time. So this is converted to second. And now this is basically converted to plot this graph, right? So this is 5.67. So it will plot this bar here representing this 5.67 minutes for this first element. First element is 5.67. So similarly we go next. So what we do is we find out the elements sequence. So this is the second sequence. Then operator 1 is performing activity 2, operator 2 is also performing activity 2, and operator 3 is actually ideal here. So this can also be find out, right? Who is ideal, who is not doing anything while the changeover is happening, so that we can allocate that resource to do some extra activity, right? and this way we can reduce the time. So activity were 2, 2 and ideal, and the overall time it took is 15 minutes, right? And that can be used here to plot this graph of 15 minutes. Then third sequence, operator 1 is performing activity 3. Now here see, operator 2 and 3 both are ideal. So it is basically a single person activity, and this both of these two peoples are waiting for the next activity to happen, right? And this activity basically took 6.17 minutes, and this is plotted here on this graph. So everything is automated. You don't have to plot any graph or anything here. What you need to do is just break down those activities into elements, and record the start time and stop time of that activity. Now see here, the key is the stop time of this previous activity is the start time of the next activity, right? So you just need to write down this time here, or this time here. This will be the same, previous one, this one, then this one, like this. So this is how we do the analysis of the oral video, and using that analysis and using this graphical representation of this overall change over time, we can easily find out that which are the activities that are consuming more time, and which are the activities on which we actually need to focus, right? Very easy, interesting, right? I hope you are enjoying, guys. There are some extra information that is there, so you can fill your machine name, product name, who is leader, who is production head, what is date shift, maintenance head, all those stuff you can write down here just for the record of the project, right? And then the last step is to come up with the action plan, right? So this is just the breaking down of the activity. This is just the analysis. This is not the action plan. Now we need to come up with the action plan, right? So it is like the analyze and improve phase in the DMAC, Six Sigma DMAC, right? So this is the analyze phase, analysis part. So we are basically analyzing the thing, and then we need to go to improve it. So what we need to do here is we need to come up with the solution. We need to come up with the action item that can be implemented to improve your, or basically to reduce your change over time, right? So so these are the activities that are there, activity 1, 2, 3, right? So this is the before time, this is the after. Before time in seconds, before time in minutes. And now here is the important thing that is here. So remember, as said earlier, internal, external. So what we need to do is we need to identify this activity, or we need to take first activity, and we need to find out by using which way we can eliminate or we can reduce the time, whether we can convert it to external, whether we can do parallel, whether we can eliminate the activity, combine it, rapid the activity, or simplify the activity. So in any case, we can use multiple things like combining, and while combining doing it rapidly, or combining and while combining doing or simplifying it, right? Or doing parallel activities while combining those two activities. So we can use combination of all these criterias all together, right? If it is internal, external, then you not to use any of these things, right? Because it is external and you are not performing it while your machine is down. So what you need to do is you need to find out the ways through which this can be eliminated, and you need to find out how much time can be saved. So that time can be entered here, like this activity 1, 2.5 minutes can be saved by taking action 1. So you need to write down what action team needs to take, so that this time from 5.67 minutes can be reduced by 2.5 minutes. And then there is a after time, that is 3.17, right? 5.67 minus 2.5. Then who is responsible for doing that activity? The person responsible. What is the target date to complete the activity? And then the status, overall status, whether it is completed, pending, or in process, anything you want to add. Then there is a total summation here. So what is total time and what is after time? So this is basically your improvement time after changeover. So for in this example, it was 26 minutes before, and now it is 8 minutes, right? By doing some actions like this is converted to external, then this activity is eliminated altogether, this way. So this way we analyze and we improve those activities, so that overall change over time can be reduced. Now let's perform one practical exercise, quick one exercise, just to give you the idea that how this is actually done, right? So what we do here is we will use the same video of 1950s pit stop. Why we use the same video? Because firstly, I don't have any video from the real life changeover, and this is the ideal case scenario, right? Because it is already converted from 1 minute to 2 seconds. Now what we need to do is we just need to go through the process. We don't have to come up with the ideas right now, right? Because we are not area expert, we are not subject matter expert. What we need to identify is, or what we need to understand is the conceptual part, right? So We will break down this video first few activities into the Excel sheet, and then we will try to find out how it is performed, right? So let's do it together. Right, so let me open the Excel sheet. So this is the Excel sheet that is there. It can be used by anyone. So let me delete this first and delete this altogether. See, everything is auto calculated, so you need not to fill anything out here, right? So let it be. Let me make it little bigger. I hope you are able to see it now. So let's go back to the video. So this is not a single person activity, right? Understand this and make this or keep this in your mind that this is not a single person's job. You need to have a team, and basically the team that is involved in the changeover, that should be there while you are breaking down these activities, because they are the ones who have performed these activities. So you need to make sure that this changeover team should be the part of this team, along with some subject matter experts, some maintenance technicians, and some other peoples, like a cross functional team. Never perform this activity in a closed room by a single person. You will not get benefit. So let's play the video. Now what we need to do is we need to write down the things that are done by these people. Now let's call this person as operator 1 and this person as operator 2, right? So see what they are doing. See, so the operator 1 is carrying over the tire. He puts his tire on the floor, and we need to observe the timer, right? We need to observe the timer as well. So this is the timer that we need to observe. So basically 3 seconds. So we'll start from beginning. So we'll stop here where the operator has placed the tire on the floor. We will stop there. Yes. So 3 seconds, basically 3.08. So 000308. It would take a lot of time to break down a 1 hour long video. It is a long exercise, but you need to do it in a conscious mind, in a conscious way, because that will only give you benefit, right? It is not easy to reduce the changeover time in multiple times. It will take time and effort and energy. uh, okay, it is because of the error. Okay, let's put this is the stop time, right? So this is basically 00. Right, time in minute is 3 minutes. No, no. Okay, okay, so that was basically in a second. So we'll put this as 0 and this as 3. There it is, 3 seconds. So start time 0 and stop time is 3 seconds. So operator 1 is, what is he doing? He's carrying the tire and putting it on the floor. Carrying tire and putting it on floor. So this is the activity performed by operator 1. And at the same time, what operator 2 is doing? Let's see. He was moving back and front again. Right. So we need to stop at the same time. And so he's basically positioning the jack to lift the car, right? So this is how we perform it. There is operator 3 as well. So let's see what he's doing. So this we consider as operator 3. So he's basically going on the top of the car, and I don't know what he's doing. He's basically performing some maintenance here. Operator 3 performing repair on the top of car. See, we are not technical expert in this changeover, right? So you need to make sure that we involve technical experts, or the people who are familiar with this process, right? So that's it for the first element. Now we'll do the second element. See, now what operator 1 is doing, he is taking hammer and started hammering the bolt, or whatever it is. He's continue doing that. See, now this person is filling the petrol basically here, and see what this guy is doing is trying to lift the car. He was putting all his weight on the jack. See this. See, it is not easy to lift. He was trying to put all his weight, and then only he is able to lift it. So basically an activity with lot of effort. See the guy, the effort he's making to remove the tire. See how hard he's hitting. So we can take fair idea that how can we improve it, right? Even if we are not technical expertise, we can find out the ways. Okay, so basically this guy is opening the cover of the tank, opening the cover of fuel tank, right? I got it. right? So we stop when operator 1 is stop taking his tire out. Here it is. Yes, it is done. So it will take around 20 seconds and 95. So we'll write it as a 21. Right? So we will basically write this here, same, right? And here 00 and 21, almost 20.95. So I am writing it, rounding it to 21. So it took, no, 0021, right? So it took around 18 seconds just to loose the bolt. So we'll write here tire bolt removing, right? Tire bolt removing. And operator 1, operator 2 is lifting the jack, lifting the car with jack with much efforts. You can write it down here as well. It is not easy for him to lift. He's putting all his weight on the jack just to lift the car. Interesting. And operator 3 is fueling the car, refueling the car, refueling the car. Right. So this activity will continue here. Now what is he doing now? Next. Okay, we'll stop here. 2968. So I'll write it as 3030. Okay, and this will be same. So what he does is he put the second tire on floor, old tire on floor, and put new tire on its place. So put old tire on floor and new tire on car shaft. Right. What operator 2 is doing? It's still lifting the car, and he's still refueling the car. No, his activity has finished somewhere here. Yes, his activity has finished at around 28, 30. Okay, so we'll leave it as it is, right? So these are the activities are done. Basically, three activities. Now he's closing the cap of the fuel tank, and this one is fixing the tire. And now he moved to the next tire. So guys, if you feel it quite difficult to match the timing of these three operators, what you can do is, as these are the parallel activities, right? These are not performed one by one, one after other. So these are the parallel activities. So the best way to perform these kind of activities when multiple people are involved and every one of them is doing a different activity, then what we can do, the best way is we can use three different sheets for operator. So basically operator wise one sheet. So we can create a copy of the sheet, and we can do it operator wise. So this one will be operator 1, right? So this one will be operator 2 and operator 3, 4, so on. So what we need to do is we need to just focus on single operator all over this changeover, write down all his activities along with time. Then we go to the second operator, right? And we similarly perform this breakdown, and similar goes to the third and fourth and fifth operator. And this is because they are doing the activities that are parallel in nature. Those are not independent activities on each other, right? Anyways, in this case you can club operator 1 and 2, right? Because if operator 2 who is lifting the jack, he's not there, then operator 1 cannot perform the activity of removing the tire. So those activities that are done by two operator altogether, because that cannot be done in parallel, so you can club those two operators here, right? So this one will be for operator 1 and 2, 1 plus 2, and this will be for operator 3. Thus, does this make sense, guys? I hope it makes sense for you. So you will delete it here, and then you will do it for operator 3 only. You will remove this, and this will be for operator 3, and his activities will be here, and his own time, and likewise you will break it down. So it will be easy for you to not focus on the time, because few people will finish the activity earlier and then they are performing other activity, and then you will feel like what to write here. So for that purpose, this is the best way to get rid of those kind of things. Make different sheets. And now once this is done, what we need to do is we need to analyze the graph. We need to see the graph, how it is behaving. We can, at a glance, we can easily find out which are the activities that are taking most of the time, and we need to focus on those activities. And we need to find out the ways how we can eliminate those time or reduce those time. So we, next step is to go to action plan. So we will write down these activities that we have identified. The other thing that you can do here is also we can insert the cell for operator who is performing the activity, like operator name, just for the understanding purpose, right? So operator activity name, who is performing the activity before time, and then can we perform it internally or can we perform it externally, like before or after. Then can we do it parallel, can we eliminate it altogether, can we combine it, can we rapid it, or can we simplify it, and what action we need to take in order to either do it external, do it parallel, eliminate, combine, rapid, or simplify. What is the time that can be saved? So these are the projected times, these are not the actual times, right? So you need to take a fair idea that how much time can be saved if we take this action, right? So let's take example of lifting the car. So we may find some other jack that does not require any more effort to lift, so it will lift by using some hydraulic tool or hydraulic or air pressure equipment, pneumatic or hydraulic, right? So, or electric for that purpose. So hydraulic jack, if you introduced, so you will have to take fair idea from the manufacturer of the jack or from the expert in that particular field. You need to make sure that if this is the current jack, if it is taking 5 seconds to lift the car with lot of effort, then with hydraulic jack how much time will it save, right? So if in this case, if it is requiring 3 seconds and if we save 2 seconds, that we need to write here, right? So this is basically in a minutes, so you need to write down 2 divided by 60, right? So anyways, this is in a minute. You can always convert it to the seconds for your sake of simplicity as well. It is completely up to you. So in this way, we need to take an idea or judgment of how much time can be reduced. So that much time can be reflected in your overall change over time. So this is how we perform the analysis action plan, right? We perform the action plan to find out what action we need to do so that any one or two or combine things can be done to reduce the time. So that's all, guys. That's all for the today's session. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I personally enjoyed teaching or talking about SMED a lot because it is my personal favorite, as said earlier. And I know the power of SMED because I see it with my own eyes. I done a project on my machine on SMED when I was working in a company, and I have seen it done miracles. It done magic when it comes to the reducing of the change over time. Let's end here. So before end, let's watch this video again so that we will get excited to do the changeover in not in 2 seconds. It is not practically possible in manufacturing environment where we cannot club this kind of workforce at the same place, right? It is not a F1 race, it is a manufacturing sector, but still we can take leverage of SMED single digit, right? We can plan our changeovers to happen in a single digit minute, like 9 minute, 8 minute, 7 minute. So hope you plan for that in your next project. Hope you take the project on SMED, and let's watch this video for once and then we will end here. What happens? Hmm. Huh. 1.82 seconds. Word record. See how everyone was in their position for waiting the car. Go. You can see the tire condition where it goes. See, what I wanted to show you here is the tire condition, how wear out it is. You compare it with the new tire. So it is required to change the tire when you are in the Formula One race. See the synchronization. This all these activities happen within 2 seconds. This is at a slow speed, so you can find out how synchronized it is. He's just taking it out the tire, and the second person is almost ready to put in on the shaft, right? See, and see the third person, Jackman. Even before the tire is on its position, he's ready with his tool to put in and to tight the bolt. Done. Go. See this. This tool is still rotating. See this. Bravo. We done it. All right, guys. So that's it for today. See you again in the next session in such a interesting in this kind of interesting tool in the next session, right? And bye bye.